Augie Nost, and we're talking about Stephen Gibbs, the creator of this time device, self-taught, mad scientist, Tesla wannabe. And so how did you meet him?
I was introduced to him by a lady in Omaha that has written something like 100 books, and several of them on time travel. And if you, it's Patricia Ress. Google her. She's got a website. Several of the time travel books of hers are on that website. And she introduced me to him. And it was kind of an accident because I was busy at the time and I didn't have time to go meet anybody, but I did anyway. And I'm glad I did, because that turned me on to a totally different, probably, timeline.
Ah, here she is. Yes, she's written
Yeah.
with Nick. She's contributed to a book with Nick Redfern and Stephen Gibbs and Tim
Yep.
Schwartz. We know all of those names. Stranger Than Fiction, the true time travel adventures of Stephen L. Gibbs, the Rain Man of time travel, by
Yep.
Patricia Griffin Ress, R-E-S-S.
Yep. That's her.
Beyond Earthly Knowledge, The Library Upstairs, on and on it goes. All right. So Patricia introduced you to Stephen Gibbs.
Yeah.
Was he nervous about, well, he told you, he warned you about it, about this device, but was he reluctant to share this information with you, or was he
No.
transparent?
No. No, he was making the device for people that wanted to buy it. In fact, Art Bell bought one. And I remember on the air one time, in fact, I think that was probably the time that I was on the air with Art. He called me and had me on. And he said something to the effect that I have the device here. It's sitting right over there, but I haven't dared to turn it on yet. So maybe he did and maybe he didn't. I'm not sure.
I
But
seem to recall, because I was listening to Art Bell in the early 90s, and seem
yeah,
to recall hearing him talk about that one time. And
yeah,
I don't know that if he ever did try it.
yeah.
Okay, so are we ready? Do we want to let's have a look at it?
Yeah, we could do that. Stephen Gibbs actually was on Art Bell's show probably at 5 or 6 times.
Ah,
So they got to know each other really well, and they they became good friends actually. And the thing about it is that, let me take about 30 to 35 seconds here and explain a little bit about timeline, because that can really help and make people's life better. If we understand timelines, you know that whatever you did yesterday and you're doing today is going to be very predictable going into the future. If your life sucks right now, you don't have to stay in this timeline. You can make a major decision and go and do something else. That is one way of creating a new timeline. And I've done that several times. And pick a date, New Year's Eve party a year from now, and visualize what you want to have successfully accomplished in your life at that time, and go back and visit it every day. In my book on spiritual science, I show exactly how to do that. And there's another one, and that involves a parallel timeline. You are in several timelines, and start visualizing yourself doing something different that you love to do and love to have in your life, and start visiting that without the date on it. And if you do that often and strongly enough, you could flip over into that parallel timeline. And the thing about that is that if you do, you may not be able to remember what you had in this one. And if your life sucked, you probably don't want to anyway. But you could find yourself in that parallel timeline where you have created it in your mind the way you like to see it.
but is it going to be a dramatic shift in timeline? So, for example, you go to bed one night and you've got your lovely wife beside you, and you've got your two kids that are about to go into university, and you've got your, you got a used car in the driveway, and you got a mortgage or whatever. You wake up the next day, you're not going to have a different family, are you?
Unlikely, very unlikely.
Whew.
I wouldn't say no, but very unlikely. And I think if you have everything you want and you love in your life right now, don't do anything different. Keep it. Keep visioning the good things that you already have in your future, and that's the timeline you're going up. If you have things that you don't like, start visualizing with that missing in the other timeline. And what you are visualizing in that timeline, that's what usually will show up.
All right.
Because thoughts are things, you place them into the quantum existence, and it's there. You can go there and attach it. And that's what the theory of inflation is within quantum mechanics. That is, whatever you have placed into the thought of it and visualized it, you thought of it, placed it into the quantum existence. Because of that theory of inflation, that represents, like, you can take that as a potential and bring it into the physical world with you, and it becomes real.
Quantum inflation. All right.
Yeah.
That's the
theory
that's
of
the good kind of
inflation.
inflation. We don't like the other
Yeah.
kind of inflation. That's the good kind.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let's have a look
Yeah.
at this device. Are we ready?
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. First of all,
And describe everything, if you can, in
yeah,
detail, because some people are
there
just
is
listening and they're not seeing the visuals.
yeah, there is three components to it. This is one of them. It's what's called a time coil. You put that around your head at the level of the third eye so that it goes through the middle of your skull. This one sets up a electromagnetic field around your head. Stephen had some pictures. It was taken with Carillion photography, so he could see how the field was, and it looked like it was flat on top, and then it came out in a bowl like this. So it kind of conformed to what the time coil
Right.
looked like
Let me just
around your
explain
head.
what it looks like for those just listening on the podcast and not watching on the Rumble channel. It's just kind of an elasticy
Yeah,
coil, almost like something some people would have attached their keys to so that they can stretch it and open a door and then put it back in their
yeah,
pocket. But it's a loop, it's a closed loop, a stretchy
yeah. It's
coil.
a closed loop that is attached by a wire
Okay.
to a black box. I'm going to show you in just a little bit.
Okay.
And when you put this on your head, you get the electromagnetic field around your head.
Okay.
And then we have an electromagnet. Looks like this, looks like a T. The handles on the T is small, but the magnet itself is very strong. And I could put it down here and put maybe a coin. That's right, coins don't. But put something steel,
Yes.
about a foot away from it, and it would say bang. It was just pulled right into the magnet.
All right. It's a bundle of
So
tightly copper wire
yeah,
around.
the magnet is wound with the wires, and then it is at the handle. It is attached to the black box also.
Yes.
With an electric cord.
Okay.
And this magnet is taken and put against the solar plexus, right below the sternum, just right there in the middle of your chest.
Okay.
Put it with the magnet in and the handles out.
Right.
Away from you.
Okay.
And that is I don't know exactly what would create the importance of having it right there at the solar plexus. There's something to that, and Stephen may have talked of that, but I'm not so sure exactly what he said.
Well, you've
Now,
got the pineal gland, the third eye, and then
yeah,
I don't know, is there an important chakra or something right there where the
yeah,
solar plexus are?
yeah, that's probably the connection. And then we have the black box.
Mhm.
And for those of you listening out there and not seeing this, I will try to explain it. It is about 2.5 inch wide, about 6 inches long, and about 5 inches wide, I guess.
Wide, yeah.
So, and then it is kind of like a mini radionic computer. Now, this one is pretty simple. I used to have a radionic computer with, I think, about 28 dials to it that you could do just about anything with. But this one's got 2 knobs. And when you plug it in the wall, and then there is a red button that oh gosh, you flip the red button on.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. And then there is another button, actually a flip switch
A switch.
for the 2 knobs to dial.
Mhm.
And the third one is for a well, as you would have on a radionic computer.
A well.
This
What do you mean a
there's
well?
Yeah, this well is for healing
Oh,
and tuning into somebody at a distance.
all right. It's like a hole in the box.
There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
the hole in the box. And
About the diameter of your big finger, I guess.
yeah, about that. And now there is on one side of them, there is a big plate. The top of the box is a big plate that when you tune it, you rub this plate with one hand as you turn the knobs. Oops, I got it backwards here. Turn the knobs really slow with the other one until your finger sticks. When your finger sticks, that's the position you want to keep the knob in. And then you turn the other knob as you move the finger back and forth until it sticks again. This is how you fine tune the body to the device or the machine.
And what frequency or what is the box emitting? Do we know?
There is a time chip, and he said that don't open it up. He says because it is black boxed. He doesn't want anybody to know what's in it. So he says if it'll quit working if you break it open. And I never did that, but I imagine there are people that did, so they could get their hands on the time chip possibly. But I don't know the frequency that is tuning out. I have never checked on it, and I don't think Stephen even talked about that.
But there's no danger of getting an electrical shock or anything, is there?
Not from the box. If you have a electrical cord that is broken, yeah, don't touch it. But for if it is all put together, you really can't get shocked from it. I used it a lot, and
Okay.
it's
And what kind of power does it take? What is it, like 15 volts or what is it? 30 volts?
you plug it in the wall, 110. You just plug it in the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is something that Stephen. This is the early version of it. Now the later ones, they look slightly different. They look a little nicer, especially the magnet. He's put together a little nicer on the later ones. But I'm sorry to say that about a year ago he died, so he is no longer with us. So these now are becoming more like, I don't know, collector's items, I guess.
All right.
They're hard to find.
All right. So once you've got the coil around your
Mhm.
head, You've plugged in you've got the magnet pointed towards your solar plexus. And then it almost seems like you need two people to operate. Are you able to operate it by yourself?
Yeah, you can do that by yourself.
Okay. And then with the other hand,
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah, yeah. You can hold the magnet with one hand, and then when you put the black box down, you can turn the knob a little bit and strike the strike plate, turn the knob a little bit until the fingers stick.
right.
And you can actually do that by yourself.
Okay. So once you do that, then what are you supposed to do? Do you have to focus on
Well,
something or?
I'm going to put this down for now. So that's when I didn't get anything done until I started manipulating my brainwave pattern. And that's where I would go into meditation. And I would tell myself, this is something that I did. And
Oh, you froze on me there. I don't know if you can hear me, Augie, but you're frozen. Oh, you're back now. Now you're back. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you began to meditate. That's your pickup.
Yeah. I visualized a black background with a white number 7 on it. And I knew that would be the brainwave frequency I would be looking for. And then I just, there's a way to dull the mind really fast and cross your eyes a little bit, because now you give the mind to do something that it doesn't take thought to do. So I did that, and then the mind goes dull. And then the brainwave pattern come down, and you just sit there. And you can visualize where you want to go, what you want to know. I think, though, that when you are experimenting with this, let's say that you want to go back and see what it was like in Egypt 3,000 years ago. I wouldn't do that, because back then we didn't have electricity. We could plug this machine in. I would be a little careful with where I would go. I wouldn't go outside of my capabilities.
Is that why you think people disappear? They go back in time?
I am sure, especially that young kid. He was experimenting. Everything was sitting in the middle of the bed. He left the equipment behind and he went somewhere. Normally, there's a safety valve in the universe, and that is that it would bring you back. But evidently for him, it didn't happen. He could have gotten into a position or in a situation where he could have been terminated. You never know what